What's up, fight fans? Let's dive right into today's news. Here's what's going down. UFC signed $7.7 billion deal with Paramount. The UFC has inked a massive 7-year, $7.7 billion broadcast deal with Paramount, starting in 2026, that will end the pay-per-view era in the US. All 43 annual events, including 13 former pay-per-views, will stream on Paramount Plus and air on CBS, giving fans full access for as little as $7.99 a month. The deal, averaging $1.1 billion annually, is one of the largest in sports media, putting the UFC's broadcast value close to leagues like MLB and the NBA. Talking to CBS Sports, UFC CEO Dana White said,
And if you look at the moves they're making right now and the content that they just locked up South Park, yet they have Yellowstone, Mobland, which is a big hit, Tulsa King, and the list goes on and on. So not only if you're a UFC fan, you get away from the pay-per-view model. Now you just pay, $12 or $13 a month, whatever it is, and you get all this other programming, plus all the UFC content.
Hearing about the UFC's Paramount deal, the MMA community has reacted to the news. Here are some reactions. Derek Brunson writes, "A snapshot of me in 2026 after never having to spend $79.99 on any UFC pay-per-view ever again." Alan Joban writes, "This is a massive deal. Even more than the $1 billion a year high bar expectations that were set. I'm curious to know what the Paramount Plus cost will be. But as a whole, this should make fights much more affordable for fans. Congrats. At UFC at Paramount Plus." Bill Algio writes, "No more pay-per-view sounds too good to be true." Jake Paul writes, "Every fighter in the UFC now has a clear picture of what the revenue is. No more pay-per-view excuses. Get your worth, boys and girls." What do you guys think? Is the UFC's partnership with Paramount Plus good for MMA? First look at Alex Pereira's Hollywood debut. Former two-division UFC champ Alex Pereira shared the first glimpse of his acting debut in A24's upcoming action horror Onslaught, where he plays the villain, the Butcher. Directed by Adam Wingard, the film also stars Adria Arjona and features UFC flyweight champ Alexander Pantoja. Do you guys think Alex Pereira's involvement with acting will affect his rematch against Ankalaev at UFC 320? Arman Tsarukyan trolls Ilia Topuria. Arman Tsarukyan recently posted an Instagram reel from a private jet trolling Ilia Topuria. In the video, you can see Arman petting his dog while comparing his dog to his rival, Ilia.
Good boy, good boy. Better than Ilia.
Do you guys think Ilia will respond to Arman? Dricus Du Plessis drank 20 beers after Israel Adesanya win. UFC middleweight champ Dricus Du Plessis revealed he downed around 20 beers the day after submitting Israel Adesanya at UFC 305. The South African shared that he keeps fight night celebrations low-key, saving the real partying and beer for the next day. Du Plessis now turns his focus to defending his title against Chimaev this weekend at UFC 319. Talking to Shaq MMA, DDP said,
"Oh, bro, that was after the Easy fight, I think. Where was that? Yeah.
Yes. I
Bro,
think
probably
so.
maybe like 20. Yeah, maybe like 20, maybe a bit more. I don't know. No, that was like that's afternoon. I mean, we obviously fight night. We went out. On fight night, I don't stay out late for fight. Even my after parties, anything like that, I can't do it on fight night. My adrenaline dump. I'll have a beer or two, eat some good food. I go to my room, relax, take it all in. That's how I, maybe some family and friends have a nice meal, like I said, a beer or two, but it's not. And then the next day, the celebration starts. That's it. I'll sleep in, eat as much as I possibly can, and then that goes alongside with the beers that I haven't been having for the past 2 months.
Dricus Du Plessis predicts Caio Borralho to beat Nassourdine Imavov. UFC middleweight champ Dricus Du Plessis believes Caio Borralho's well-rounded skill set will be enough to upset Nassourdine Imavov in their UFC Paris main event on September 6th. While Du Plessis isn't particularly excited about either as future opponents, he also acknowledged Anthony Hernandez and Rainier de Ridder as rising contenders, though he feels de Ridder still has more to prove despite his win over Robert Whittaker.
I like Rainier on a personal level. I've trained with him. He was in the organization that I fought in here in South Africa. He is a good guy. He's a good fighter. He's been also doing. There's similarities, and people think, oh, he's never gonna do this. Oh, he looks terrible, and he's been proving everybody wrong. And he's been doing everything that he said he was gonna do. So impressed with that. I think he has a way to go still. You know, Robert Whittaker beating him right now doesn't earn you that title shot. The winner between Imavov has put in some work, and Borralho, I rate him. I think he's a really good fighter. I do think Borralho beats Imavov, in my opinion. I think he's more all around. And there's neither one of those fights really get me excited right now. I'm fighting Hamza Chimaev next weekend. That's the only thing that gets me excited right now.
Vicente Luque versus Santiago Ponzinibbio, official for UFC Rio. Vicente Luque and Santiago Ponzinibbio will collide at UFC Rio on October 11th in a high-stakes Brazil versus Argentina welterweight showdown. Both fighters entered desperate for a win, Luque coming off a tough submission loss to Kevin Holland, while Ponzinibbio is looking to halt a 3-fight skid. The matchup adds heat to a stacked card headlined by Charles Oliveira versus Rafael Fiziev. Charles Oliveira calls out Dan Hooker for avoiding fight in Rio. Charles Oliveira claimed Dan Hooker talked a lot, but ultimately declined to fight him at UFC Rio. Oliveira explained that despite Hooker's calls for a bout, he ended up fighting Rafael Fiziev instead because Hooker didn't want it. The former lightweight champ accused Hooker of all talk with no action, calling the situation a long-running soap opera. Speaking to Ag Fight, Dubronk said, "I'm not a guy who goes around playing games, but I was offered names, and they didn't even want it. So today when you release this, these guys will tweet, 'Coward. I wanted it. He didn't want it.' But it's a lie. My whole life it's been like this. They poke around, talk shit from the other side. When I say, 'Come on, I'm here,' they take it and run the other way." Do you think Dan Hooker rejected the Charles Oliveira fight? Tom Aspinall dismisses Jon Jones fight rumors at the White House. UFC heavyweight champ Tom Aspinall downplayed the possibility of facing Jon Jones at the planned White House fight event in 2026, calling the idea boring and false hope. While he's focused on his upcoming title defense against Cyril Gane, Aspinall suggested that American fighters should get the spotlight for the historic event instead. Speaking to Ariel Helwani, the Honey Badger said, "It has spent 0 seconds in my mind. I'm not interested, and the world shouldn't be interested either, because what's the point? It's false hope. It doesn't not interest me, but it doesn't really interest me. It would be a cool experience, but I feel like the Americans should get the shot at the White House." Do you guys see Tom Aspinall and Jon Jones ever fighting? Let us know in the comments section below. That's all for today's news. Thanks for watching. If you like our content, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We post news daily,